The next step with regards to the installation of the floating floors, after the baseboards have been removed, we have to make sure that we clean the floor. With a mop, make sure you remove all debris and sand that's on the floor. If you don't, you could compromise either the underlayment and or the floor itself once it is installed. As you can see, we've already started with the installation of the vapor barrier. We have it rolled out. The underlayment goes from both walls up against the far wall here. You can see that our overlap strip that is part of our vapor barrier is rolled up the wall 4 inches. This will give us a good continuous vapor seal on the bottom underlayment. Also, as you see down here at the end, we've used a moisture barrier tape in order to get the continuous vapor barrier. Another way we could have installed this underlayment is we could have rolled it up the wall 4 inches. After the floor was installed, we would then put the baseboards on and we could cut the underlayment off tidy at the top of the baseboards. This is a little easier and this is the system that we have gone with. Now that the underlayment has been installed in the first row, we're now going to work with the second row of underlayment. As you can see, it's already been rolled out. The underlayment itself has a tape that's on the back. The tape will also give us the continuous vapor barrier, and this is required because the floor that we are going over is a concrete floor. So if you grab the tape that covers the adhesive strip and then fold the floor back down, everything will be held in place. And as you pull out the tape off of the top of the adhesive strip and push the floor down on top of it, you'll get a good adhesive strip and you'll have a continuous vapor barrier that will protect your floor.
Make sure the subfloor is clean and dry to prevent damages to your underlayment or to your floor once installed. Lay your underlayment in rows parallel to the direction of the flooring. In the first row, run the underlay up the wall with the self-adhesive edge measuring 4 inches. Attach the first and second row with the adhesive strip. In the second row, after butting the 2 foams together, remove the adhesive strip and secure the foam in place. To join 2 cut ends, always use damp-proof tape.
This is a section of baseboard that was removed from against the wall. Prior to reinstalling this, you're going to have to remove the nails out of the baseboard. And a little tip I'd like to offer you right now, instead of hammering the nails through the front face of the baseboard and dislodging some of the wood filler and chipping the paint, I would suggest that maybe if you turn the board back over and just pull the nails from the back, through the back of the baseboard, you can see once the nail comes out, there isn't any damage done to the face of the board. Now when you reinstall the board, you won't have to do as much filling on the front and or maybe get away from even having to repaint the baseboard. We are now ready to move on to the next step in the installation process. As you can see, the boxes of flooring have been brought into the room where the flooring will be installed, and it's been here for 24 to 48 hours. We are now ready to actually open up all of the boxes now. When we open up the boxes, you will see that there is a set of installation instructions on the back of the flyer, and on these instructions it will give you all the information that will be required in order to do an installation that will live up to your expectations. Also, as you open up each of the boxes and pull out the flooring, we would hope that you would do an inspection to look for surface defects on the front, as well as an inspection of the joint to make sure that there is no damage to the joints.
24 to 48 hours prior to installation, place the closed packages in the middle of the room. Never place them in a corner or against a wall. This will allow your new floor to acclimate to the temperature. Do not open the packages until you are ready to begin the installation. Inspect each plank before installation. If you find any defect, do not use a plank. Contact your Torley's dealer.
I have now opened a number of boxes and shuffled up the planks. This will give us a random look on the floor. We are now ready to start our installation. As you can see, we're going to be starting in the corner and we're going to be moving from our left to our right. The reason that we're going to be doing that from the left to right is because the groove will be in front of us, which will make for a very easy installation of the next plank into it. Also, what we're going to do prior to installing is we're going to get our utility knife out and we're going to cut the tongue off both the long side and the short side. This will allow us to fit very tightly to the shims and give us a very good starting line. Now that I have a number of planks down, I'm going to measure for our very first cut in the starting row. But prior to actually getting a full measurement from here, I am going to put shims down at the other end of the plank, which will give us our expansion gap and the correct fit in the corner. Now that the board has been measured and marked to length, it is now time to cut. My choice of cutting tool this evening is going to be the guillotine because of the nice clean cut and very little noise. And now we'll angle the plank in. There we go, and now we're ready to finish the next row. We've now finished installing the first row, and now we're on to the second row. Starting your second row, it is recommended that the piece you start with be a minimum of 8 inches long. The piece that we cut off the other end is longer than 8 inches, and because of this, we'll get a nice staggering of the joints. In order to install the panel, lift it up on an angle with a slight rocking action. It'll lock into place. Once in place, make sure that you install your shims in order to support the floor so it doesn't move when you're tapping the next plank into it. Now we're on to our first full plank in the second row. Trying to install this plank will entail lifting it up on a bit of an angle once you put the tongue into the groove. Once the tongue is into the groove, move it back so there's only a short distance between the plank that you're installing and the plank that's already installed. By pushing in on the angle into the joint with a slight rocking action, the floor will engage very tightly. Before trying to do any tapping, in order to engage the short side, use a scrap piece of flooring that you have around and click the flooring together. This way you'll keep the flooring flat and the joints will engage very easily without any damage being done to the end joints. The tool that we're going to be using to tap the planks in together is the installation tool that we showed you from the package earlier, the tapping block. It's been cut off on the sides, which will allow you to tap without damaging the joint. So what I'm going to do is tap lightly and slide this plank into the previous plank until they're both engaged. Now that the plank is engaged, you can see that there was no damage done by using the tapping block, and now we can move on to the rest of the installation of this row.